What's going on, people? It's Kish Yardy Views and Vlogs. Um, I have a couple channels. I have a channel. Remember to like, share, subscribe to this channel and to the channels that I'm going to present. I have one channel that's I put more specific things about dating and mating, male insecurities, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to post that up into the description box. And I would like you to click that and subscribe to that channel as well, right? It's called Yardy Views on Dating and Mating, right? Remember to like, share, subscribe, and remember to watch this video. If I'm gonna try to make it 30 minutes long, I'm gonna try to make I'm gonna try to make it 30 minutes long, right? But really and truly, whether I make it 30 minutes long or 50 minutes long, watch the video because there's a lot of value in game I put into these videos that I think, in my opinion, can shift the culture, shift Caribbean culture, help Caribbean black men put themselves in a better situation when it comes to dating and finding the right women, especially when it comes to the average everyday Caribbean black man, right? So let's go into the presentation. Why the Gallus is so effective in Jamaican culture. We got to review this, right? Because in dancehall music, or how I've heard people describe it to me, I've had to take the surface level game they taught, and then I had to use my own life experience to come up with my own game that's been effective for me, right? But in dancehall culture, or Jamaican culture, or Caribbean culture, it's given to you surface level. It's not giving you to. It's given to you based upon observation, but it's not telling you why it's so effective. And today we're going to break it down. In Jamaican culture, the Gallus is often more effective with women than the average Caribbean man, but not for the reason most people assume. On the surface, people see that the Gallus has sex with many attractive women. Sorry, I misspelled Gallus right there. I gotta go fix the spelling in this presentation, but that's okay. Has sex with many attractive women and conclude that his success comes from promiscuity alone. That interpretation is shallow. What actually makes the Gallus effective is not the volume of women he sleeps with, but his filtering process. When he engages with women, sometimes sexually, he quickly observes their behavior. Now, I can do observe your behavior without having sex with you, right? I'm gonna drop the vetting manual on my dating and mating channel, right? So this is what I mean, right? So I'm actually gonna put a preview of it right here. This is what I mean. All right. So let me go find it. Gold guide for men. Uh, where is it? No. No, it's not that one. I'll look for it. And I'm also going to do a series on how the boomer generation of men um, fucked up the dating market. So there's a lot of stuff to be done. So I'm gonna give you a preview of it because I could do it. I can figure out what a woman is on to or what a game is if without having sex, right? The value-based vetting guide for men and women. So I'm gonna drop this on my other channel that y'all want y'all to go to subscribe to. Earned authority. A man's leadership must be earned, not assumed. Authority is justified only when built on discipline, mastery, accomplishment, self-structure, and vision. A man must be valuable to attract a valuable woman. A king cannot move freely unless first positioned strategically, right? The woman's role, right, is this is important. Align with the man's world, not control it. Contribute value that supports his mission. Reciprocate investment. Maintain feminine discipline. Practice consistency and appreciation, right? So that's what it looks. So that's what she has to do, right? Lady Terror, right? Archetypes must. So I'm gonna drop this on the other one, right? But contribution examples, right? Learns your boundaries, tries to follow your structure, shows appreciation, reciprocates at her level, invests progressively, right? Does she contribute to your world? Thoughtfulness, effort, reciprocation, feminine investment, consistency, appreciation. Right? You take her on a quality date. She follows up with a home cooked meal, a planned date, or thoughtful gesture. You show interest, she matches energy. Plan something, offer something, or add value. A woman who does not reciprocate sees you as replaceable or undesired. So that's how I vet women without having sex, right? Because me personally, based upon my experience, life experiences, and like I said in a prior video, I almost lost my life. So now I learned from that one lesson. Now how I date women is in my 30s now is we don't have to have sex. What other value can you showcase to me that, you know, is going to say, make me look at you and say, okay, cool. I give you access to me on that type of level, right? Intimate level, right? And then I'm also going to drop this preview, this one. I call this one the right woman. What it is for the right woman. So I gotta go put some work in and provide content. Let me see, women. So then I also have this in display. Like, what is the right woman objectively? Right? The right woman, an objective thesis, right? Right? A man cannot lead if he isn't allowed to define the standards of the woman he wants, right? So remember that. What's this? A woman has to be obedient, submission, obedience, respect, love, like, consistency, right? Emotional healthy, alignment with your mission. So these 8 things she has to showcase to you, and then I show you what they look like. Now, what's most important, right? Is the respect part, right? And you got to teach her respect. You got to teach her how to respect you, right? Now, the most important ones are submission, obedience, and respect. And then like, those 2 are important too. But the most important one is consistency. So consistency, submission, obedience, and respect. Those 3 are the most important ones, right? Because the like, it can interchange, and love, it could change as well, right? But when she's obedient and submissive, and she respects you and she's consistent, you can work that those things can always be worked with, right? Because in Black culture at larger, and specifically Caribbean Black culture, nobody tells you what the right woman is. Nobody can tell you, right? And then people like me, myself, I have to go figure it out the most difficult way. See what I'm saying? And I go into what does that look like. I go into detail of a lot of this, right? So anyway, make sure you subscribe to that channel because I'm going to drop these 2 things on that channel. But anyway, let's go through this. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and to this video. Rather than becoming emotionally invested or tying himself down to women who fail these tests, the Gallus limits the relationship to casual interaction and moves on. This does not mean he dislikes women or is incapable of love or commitment. It means he refuses to elevate women who demonstrates that they are not suitable partners or are unwilling to earn his leadership, right? So this is what the Gallus is doing, right? He's seeing the women for what they are. Either they're women trying to run game with him, don't qualify for him, not really trying to follow him, because you know, especially if you're an entertainer, like you're like Drake, you know what I'm saying? And you constantly witnessing these women being drawn to you, but then you're seeing patterns of, yo, this chick is really not here for me, or this chick is just trying to get something from me. She's not really here trying to help me multiply what I got. She's trying to control who I am, right? And a lot of women who don't have any game like that tend to do that. so the Gallus can see these things happening. You feel me? Many outsiders believe women follow the Gallus because he does nothing for them or avoids responsibility. In reality, women are drawn to him because he's not chasing them, not over-investing, not rewarding poor behavior with commitment. He is open to relationships, but only with women who demonstrate genuine interest, cooperation, and respect. His effectiveness comes from his ability to deflect bad matches, not from avoiding commitment altogether. Now, truth be told, right, there are a lot of Gallus or a lot of guys in this bracket that actually live, that actually not trying to get tied down. They're trying to live free. They're trying to enjoy their life or whatever, right? But there are, so you got to understand that not every Gallus is the same, right? No true Gallus is going to operate the same. They're going to operate generally in the general sense that they attract a lot of women, but each Gallus is going to operate differently because he's his own man, right? But what all of them have in common is they know how to deflect bad women or deflect bad matches from themselves, right? Which the average Caribbean man does not have the ability to do so for whatever reason. I don't know. But I don't consider myself a Gallus. You understand? You know, it's just that through experience and now there are women that are attracted to me. I ain't gonna tell that lie, right? Right. I know I look rugged and rough on the camera, but I've been on trains. I've been in East New York, Brooklyn, and there have been women that approached me, you know, talk to me, whatever, on the train out of random. You feel what I'm saying? But I still don't consider myself a Gallus like that, in the sense of it. You feel me? I can attract women, and I have experience dealing with women, but I'm not a Gallus. I wouldn't call myself that. But I just have the experience, and I know what it looks like when a woman is not really there for me, right? For example, on a prior video, I remember to like, share, and subscribe. I remember there was a story I told where after work, I went to go to Wendy's to go eat lunch because I was a personal trainer on Jamaica Avenue. When I went to the Wendy's, there was a chick I was going to take on a date to meet with me to the Wendy's. She was disrespectful to me going to the date. I forgot what she said, but she said something really crazy to me that I didn't like. So I said, you know what? You can go home. I don't want to go on a date with you anymore. I'm going to go buy my Wendy's and go to the park and kick it. Yo, she got crazy on me, bro. And she was going to put her hands on me. So I'm glad that there were police. If you know how Jamaica Avenue is, right? The Wendy's at the time is right across from the Social Security building. Normally, there's a lot of police officers that patrol that area or they walk by that area or whatever. And I'm lucky that there were police officers there because she was going to try to hit me or get crazy with me, and I was going to defend myself at that moment in time. So glad the police officers was there for that. After that situation, I never talked to that chick ever again, right? So it's examples like that and the whole point of that is when I was taking her on a date because she was disrespectful to me, I didn't continue to take her on a date. I cut the date off regardless of whatever the outcome was going to be. Right. So I know how to see certain things, check certain things, and then based upon her response to me, it's going to dictate if I keep the situation going with that woman. Right. The Gallus archetype in Jamaican culture is effective not because of promiscuity, but because it functions as a behavioral filter, allowing men to identify and avoid unsuitable women by withholding emotional investment and commitment until a woman demonstrates genuine interest, respect, and readiness to follow leadership, right? So this is what the Gallus is doing, right? No, I forgot to put it in this, and I probably did put it in here. I probably brushed against it. But the reason being why else the Gallus is so important in Jamaican culture is because how the culture trains the average everyday Caribbean male. Right, and we're going to get into that. It's because I did put it into this Jamaican culture ideas. So this is where we're going to get into it. Jamaican culture ideas that shape male vetting often poorly. Right. Below are common Jamaican sayings, sayings and teachings, and social norms that affect how men learn to engage women, especially why average men struggle to filter good versus bad women. So this what I'm going to go through is why the Gallus is so potent, because the Gallus is not doing what Caribbean culture socially trains Caribbean men to behave, right? Any pom-pom, good. Meaning, men are taught that access to sex itself is the goal, regardless of the woman's character. Effect encourages indiscriminate engagement, removes the idea that women should qualify beyond sex, trains men to ignore red flags as long as sex is available. Right? So the Gallus, he's not moving off of this. He's moving off of, okay, I can see the red flags with this chick. And most women are trained that that's how a lot of men move. So now if say I'm the Gallus, right? And a chick says something to me crazy, and I simply say, hey, yo, if you cannot talk to me like you're a grown adult, I'm gonna disengage with this conversation with you. Most Caribbean women are not used to that. Simple. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Because there's some game I'm dropping, y'all. And I know most Caribbean men are never heard none of that before, what I just said. A woman is woman, right? Meaning all women are treated as fundamentally the same. No framework for distinguishing good versus bad women, discourages discernment, punishes men who are selective as too picky or soft. I got told that. I still get told that. Right? I get told I'm too picky or soft. Because whatever Caribbean woman you present to me, I swear to God, if she showcases any of that combative Caribbean black bitch energy, yo, I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to go on a date with you, ever. Straight up. I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to give you a chance. No. So a lot of the men in my family look at me as too picky or soft. So get your woman, meaning success is defined by having a woman, not choosing the right one. Pressure to pair up quickly. No emphasis on vetting, observation, or long-term compatibility. Men are just socially for being single, not for choosing poorly, right? So I don't know if a lot of Caribbean men experience that, but I do, right? Because my pops wants me to go find a chick and give him some grandkids. My mother too, right? But that's from the training they received from the culture. Because every time I bring up, a lot of them are admitting they're not compatible for that. See what I'm saying? And my father doesn't get it, which I think he does get it, but he still operates from that old school cultural training. My mother too, right? And there's a couple of dudes in my family that's like myself. We're like the black sheeps, where they don't have any kids yet, right? And I think it's the same reason why I don't have any kids yet. Because when I have conversations with them, we have the same similar conversations or the overarching conversation about, the type of woman we're meeting. You feel me? Better you have one than none. Meaning, any relationship is better than no relationship. Effect encourages settling, normalizes dysfunctional pairings, trains men to tolerate disrespect to avoid loneliness or stigma. Women are going to do what women are going to do. I've heard that a lot. Meaning, female behavior is treated as inevitable and unchangeable. Effect, men are discouraged from setting boundaries, shift responsibility onto men to deal with it, removes accountability as a vetting criterion. Right? Other effect this has now, right, is that now when she's misbehaving and she's disrespectful, it teaches men to keep dealing with that instead of leaving that. That's the other effect, right? Which is something that Gallus is not going to do. Men hold him woman, right? Meaning a man's masculinity is tied to his ability to keep a woman. Effect, men stay in bad situations to protect ego and reputation. Leaving a bad woman is seen as weakness or failure. Encourages endurance over discernment, or encourages tolerance, right? She just aguan bad. Meaning, bad behavior is minimized as temporary or normal. Effect, red flags are dismissed instead of evaluated. Men are trained to wait things out rather than filter early. Reinforces tolerance of manipulation, right? So you can be with a Caribbean chick and she's manipulating you, and you know it too. But now you're trained by the culture to tolerate that and stick with that. And if you leave that, it's a knock on your masculinity. Sex is proof of interest, unspoken norm. If a woman sleeps with you, she likes you. In fact, men confuse sexual access with genuine desire. No framework for distinguishing lust, opportunism, or manipulation leads men to emotionally invest too early. Right? This is the big one. This is a big one that I see affect a lot of black men in Black American culture and a lot of Caribbean black men. Because she give you her front means you know, you don't know this could be this could be a kerosene. Shout out to Sir Pete, or this could be a hot pepper woman, or this could be like a chick trying to set you up to take your life. You don't know, especially in Jamaican culture. Male sexual access equals status, meaning men are praised for access, not outcome. This is why y'all only see the surface level of the Gallus. In fact, quantity over quality thinking. No praise for restraint, discernment, or delayed commitment. The Gallus is respected, but the logic behind his behavior is not taught. Right? When I say delayed commitment, I mean because what men are ashamed, especially in Black American culture, are ashamed to wifing up a chick quickly. You got to wife up a chick. I heard Steve Harvey say some dumbass shit about, a guy got to get you to meet his mother within the first 6 months. Really, Steve Harvey? So it's that type of shit I'm talking about. You don't commit to a chick who's not giving you, what I told you what the right woman is supposed to give you. Right, which I'm going to do something on that. As I said, remember to like, share, subscribe to the video, right? That's what the cultural war is like. You got access to front, but you don't get praise for you kept some restraint, and because you kept some restraint, you recognize that this was a bad woman to deal with, and you deflected that. Or because of your restraint, you was able to find a good woman that's sticking it out with you. Love, respect you, and treat you good. Is that what I'm saying? Silence on female vetting education. Men are taught how to get women, not how to evaluate them. In fact, no long-term vetting models, no language for good versus bad women. Men learn through pain instead of instructions. Now, they tell you a lady, or they give you the lady, the mistress, the 304, or in Jamaica, they call the pick misha, the Yamabella girl. Or they give you categories, but they don't tell you what the behavioral traits of those categories are and how they're supposed to respond respectively to the men. Right? So, these cultural ideals create average men who chase, reward men for engagement, not selection, punish men for walking away, explain why the Gallus accidentally becomes the best filter. Why the average Caribbean man fails. The reason the average everyday Caribbean man struggles in the dating game is not because he lacks access to women, confidence, or masculinity. It's because he does not understand how the game actually teaches discernment. And he was never trained to distinguish between good women and bad women in the first place. In Jamaican and border Caribbean culture, men are taught to get women, not to vet women. From a young age, men hear things like, any pum pum good, a woman is a woman, and better you have one than none. These ideas push men towards indiscriminate engagement and reward access over selection. There is no real cultural framework that teaches men how to filter women based on behavior, respect, cooperation, or genuine desire. Because of this, the average man enters the dating marketplace blind. He assumes that sexual access equals interest, that a woman sleeping with him means she likes him, and that enduring bad behavior is just part of being a man. When things go wrong, he doesn't realize it's because he failed to filter. He thinks he's just picked the wrong one by chance, right? What the average man also doesn't understand is these lessons are only learned through engagement with the game itself. My bad. Because lessons are only learned through engagement with the game itself. The Gallus doesn't become effective because he chases women or avoids commitment. He becomes effective because repeating exposure teaches him patterns. Which women are cooperative, which ones are manipulative, which ones like him, and which ones are only playing games. In the modern dating marketplace, especially in Caribbean black culture, most women offer sex early to the men they are attracted to. Sexual energy is the entry point. If a man approaches without any sexual energy at all, he is often working against the grain of how attraction currently operates. While non-sexual vetting systems can work on an individual level, changing that dynamic would require critical mass of men behaving differently. As it stands, the marketplace rewards men who understand sexual dynamics first. So that means I have a non-sexual vetting system, but me doing that goes against the grain because the market rewards instant sexual gratification. The women reward that, and as a matter of fact, that's how you get the women. So I might be doing that, and me doing that goes against the grain. But for me myself, I'm okay with that because for me, I value finding the right woman over getting access to box. That's just my code, personal code. I'm more excited that I deflected a bad woman or a woman that was going to be destructive against me. I'm more excited, and I get more of a, I get more of a gratification that damn, I was so happy I missed that I avoided a problematic woman versus me having access to her box. To be deadly serious, that's just me, right? The difference is that the Gallus uses sex as a filter, not as validation. He does not confuse access with affection. After intimacy, he observes behavior. If a woman is disrespectful, inconsistent, manipulative, or unwilling to follow leadership, he does not escalate the relationship. He limits her access to him and moves on, right? The average man, on the other hand, escalates emotionally too early. He invests because he believes sex means acceptance. He stays because culture tells him men for holding woman, or man for holding woman, right? He tolerates dysfunction because bad behavior is normalized, as she just agwan bad. He never learns to disqualify women early because he was never taught that disqualification is masculine, right? Or a woman will tell you you're too controlling because you did that. So the Gallus appears successful not because he is reckless, but because he accidentally becomes the only man practicing real-time vetting in a culture that never taught men how to do it properly. The average man fails not to due to weakness, but due to bad cultural training and lack of experiential understanding of the game. Objective thesis. In the Caribbean dating culture, the average man's failure is rooted in poor vetting education rather than a lack of masculinity. The Gallus succeeds because repeated engagement with the sexual marketplace teaches him behavioral filtering skills that Caribbean culture fails to explicitly teach men. And that's what my job is here to do. My job is to interject the proper way to do things in the dating market, in Caribbean dating culture. That's my job. Right. I don't know who's going to hear it, who's going to take heed to it, but at least nobody can say I didn't tell you. And I actually plan on turning a lot of these things into books or manuals. Right. What dancehall warns you about, but doesn't explain. But dancehall artists talk about Gallus. They're not actually teaching men how to become one. What they're doing is warning men about female behavior and the dating environment. But they leave out the logic to explain why those warnings exist. Dancehall consistently signals the same realities. A woman sleeping with you does not mean she is loyal. A woman can make you feel chosen while entertaining others. Sentimentality is dangerous for men. Thinking a woman is different too early. My bad. Thinking a woman is different too early gets men hurt. Access does not mean equal exclusivity, right? Because you got women that they'll lie about, her box being the only one, her box being yours, or you get the poems and based upon how she's treating you in that moment, you believe that only you she want, but she's dealing with other dudes. See what I'm saying? And there are a lot of women out there that move like that. You know what I'm saying? So this is why, you guys, you cannot overinvest early into a chick because he's giving you box. That doesn't mean anything. You got to stop pedestalizing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling y'all to go pick up a 3 or 4, but even for the chicks who are not sexually active like that, you still got to treat them the same way. They got to earn that. Every woman has to compete for you. That's like you got to compete for them. They got to compete to earn access to you, right? These warnings are repeated over and over, but they're delivered as observations, not explanations. The artist is speaking from the position of someone who has already learned the lesson, not someone trying to teach it. What dancehall does not explain is how men are supposed to process this information. The average Caribbean man hears these warnings, but because Jamaican culture trains men to get women rather than vet women, he doesn't know what to do with the information. He still believes that sexual access equals interest. He still believes that endurance equals masculinity, meaning he's enduring bad behavior from the woman, right? He still believes that holding on to a woman, no matter her behavior, is proof of manhood. Dancehall tells him, don't trust too quick, but it doesn't tell him how to filter. Dancehall tells him she might not be yours, but it doesn't tell him, here's how to observe post-sex behavior without emotional attachment. Dancehall tells him, don't get sentimental, but it doesn't tell him here's how to regulate emotions while still engaging women, right? And now let me tell you about the emotional part, right? You can have emotions. You can like the girl, you can love the girl, you can be excited about the girl you're with, but enjoy those emotions for that moment. Don't allow those emotions to lead you into doing something or over investing into the woman or doing things with the woman that it's going to lead you to doing something bad. Like just because you're excited about that woman being in your presence and you like how she's behaving, that doesn't mean that you must wife her up. That doesn't mean you must buy her a house or buy her pretty ring or car. No, you can take her out on a good date. You can take her out on someplace. You can, I guess, buy her flowers or something. Anyway, so I had a chick buy me a MetroCard one time. You know what I'm saying? I was rushing to go because I was going to a job interview. And it was for construction, and my plan was to go to Jamaica Avenue because I had to take the dollar van and then go buy a MetroCard. And I met a chick that I was dating at the time at the thing, and she bought me a MetroCard, bought me a $20 MetroCard. So later on, after the interview, I took her on a date to go eat somewhere. So I was saying, so I reward women who provide something to me, something of beneficial to me. You know what I'm saying? Outside of just having sex. You feel me? So, there's things like that, right? For example, this is where the Gallus logic actually comes in. The Gallus uses early sexual access that is validation, but as information. After intimacy, he watches patterns because women reveal themselves and what they want, what their true intentions from you is after sex. Look at your life. I guarantee you there are women that after you have sex with them, they try to use that as, let me go dig him. I gave him some box now, right? So now I'm going to use the box I gave him to control him to give me money, to control him to, this is how I want him to be in a relationship. So pay attention and review your life of the women that you smashed on the first day and how did they respond to you? How did they behave? And when you didn't give them what they were using the sex to manipulate you with, how did they act with that? How did they respond to you? You know what I'm saying? Review your lives. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing now, dating how I'm dating now, because I saw a lot of that. Right? Is the woman cooperative or combative? Is she consistent or erratic? Does she respect leadership or test boundaries? Does she invest effort or only enjoy benefits? As a matter of fact, you want the woman to test your boundaries, right? So you can check her for testing your boundaries, right? When a woman tests your boundaries, that is the best opportunity to teach her how to respect your boundaries. So it's nothing wrong with making a woman uncomfortable, because when she's uncomfortable, she reveals who she is, and you get to now check and correct her and see if she's either going to self-correct with you or she's going to be combative with you. And that is going to give you the sign to say, okay, cool. He's being combative with me. He's being disrespectful to me. Let me let her go. This is what Gallus do. Every time I'm getting to some deep game, something always interrupts. But anyway, does she invest effort only in real benefits? So this is how Gallus can tell. This is how dudes who, or like myself, who don't consider himself a Gallus, this is how we navigate the dating game, right? Sorry, I had to run. My bad. When those patterns are negative, he does not escalate. He does not argue. He does not try to fix her. He simply limits access and moves on. The average man fails because he was never taught that disqualification is part of masculinity. You remember what's this nigga name? The Ninja Turtle? I forgot his name. You're not qualified? That's actually a very masculine thing to do. And what's so funny, you had a lot of dating coaches that teach masculinity that were shaming him for doing that. Which I know why they did it. But anyway, Caribbean culture normalizes phrases like a woman, and better you have one than none, which removes the idea that women must qualify beyond sex, right? So when dancehall warns men that women can mislead the average man doesn't learn discernment. He learns cynicism. He either becomes bitter, paranoid, or emotionally reckless because he lacks a framework or structured vetting, right? Dancehall gives the field report, not the manual. What I'm doing is explaining the system beyond what dancehall has been hinting at for decades. That men must engage the game to learn, but must also interpret the lessons correctly, or they will repeat the same mistakes. With more women instead of fewer, right? With more women instead of fewer, right? So this is that's what my job in this thing is, right? For Caribbean culture when it comes to dating. It's to explain what the lessons are so that a lot of the average everyday Caribbean guy doesn't make the same mistakes with his life when it comes to picking women. Right. And I believe you can apply this to anywhere. I believe you can apply what I showcased you here in other arenas. I believe you can apply this in a workplace. If you go to your working on a job and you recognize that the job place you're working for is chaotic or erratic, it's inconsistent, you know what I'm saying? It's always a combative space. You can disqualify that job and quit and go find another job. You see what I'm saying? So I believe you can use the lessons here that you learn from this that I showcased to you in other arenas, right? Anyway, dancehall music functions as a cultural warning system that highlights female unpredictability and dangers of male sentimentality, but it fails to explain the vetting mechanism that allow men to engage women without emotional overinvestment. The Gallus succeeds because he learns through experience to treat early sexual access as data rather than commitment. So with that said, this was Kiss Yardy Gaming Nation, right? Okay, my bad. That's my old handle. This is Kiss Yardy Views and Vlogs now. And remember to like, share, subscribe. And remember to like, share, subscribe to my other channel that's more specific towards dating and mating, right? This channel is just for general stuff. The other channel is more for like honed in specific content on that matter, right? I address male insecurities over there and what is male insecurity over there. And, the proper vetting methods over there. I address that over there, But yeah, remember to like, share, subscribe to the video. And I'm out.